I am not making this video to judge you. I am making it to prepare you. 15 things the crew quietly finds difficult. An honest insider guide for people who simply never knew. Like and subscribe for straight cruise information every time. I worked on cruise ships for 7 years, and in that time I learned something that most passengers never get the chance to understand. The crew is watching more carefully than you realize, and the way passengers behave in small, everyday moments shapes the entire dynamic of a sailing. I want to be absolutely clear about something before we go any further. The crew on your cruise ship is professional, hardworking, and genuinely wants you to have a wonderful trip. They will smile, they will help, and they will go above and beyond for the right passenger. But there are specific behaviors, most of them completely unintentional, most of them done without any awareness, that make the crew's job significantly harder and that quietly affect the quality of service you receive in return. Today, I am walking you through 15 of them, not to embarrass anyone, not to lecture, but because knowing this information before you board changes how you cruise, how the crew responds to you, and how much you genuinely enjoy the experience. Number 1 is snapping fingers or waving to get a crew member's attention. I understand the impulse entirely. Dining rooms are busy, bars are loud, and sometimes it feels like nobody can see you. But a snap or a wave in the direction of a crew member lands very differently than the passenger intends. It reads as dismissive, regardless of the intention behind it. The crew member you are signaling is almost certainly already managing multiple tables or requests simultaneously. The simple alternative is eye contact and a small, patient nod. Every crew member I worked alongside noticed the passengers who waited with patience and acknowledged them as people rather than functions. Those passengers received noticeably better attention throughout the sailing, not because of any formal policy, but because of basic human nature. In a moment, I will get to number 4, the dining room behavior that crew members talk about more than almost any other, and the one that most passengers would be genuinely embarrassed to know affects their service. Number 2 is leaving the cabin in a state that makes the steward's job significantly harder than it needs to be. Your cabin steward services between 15 and 20 cabins every single day within a tightly scheduled window. When a cabin has wet towels on the floor, food items left open on surfaces, personal belongings spread across every inch of the bed and desk, and the general appearance of having been searched by investigators, that steward's timeline for the entire corridor gets compressed. Every extra minute spent in your cabin is a minute taken from someone else's. This is not about keeping your cabin spotless. That is not a reasonable expectation on vacation. It is about the small courtesies, hanging or leaving towels in a visible spot that signals whether you want them replaced, clearing the main surfaces so the steward can actually do their job, and not leaving food in ways that attract insects or create odors in an enclosed space. A 30-second tidy before you leave for breakfast is genuinely meaningful to the person who walks in after you. Number 3 is asking a crew member a question that is clearly outside their area and then acting frustrated when they cannot answer it. A pool attendant does not know the dining reservation system. A dining room waiter cannot tell you which shore excursions are still available. A cabin steward is not the person to ask about your onboard account balance. Every cruise ship operates with clearly defined departmental responsibilities, and when passengers direct questions to the wrong person and express irritation when that person cannot help, it creates an uncomfortable and unfair dynamic. Every crew member I ever worked with wanted to help every passenger who approached them. When they could not directly answer, they would always redirect you. Follow that redirect with patience. It gets you to the right answer faster, and it treats the crew member with the respect they deserve. Number 4 is what I promised to tell you, and it involves the main dining room in a way that most passengers never consider. It is saving a seat, or more specifically, holding a table for others who are not present while the dining room is at capacity. On busy nights in the main dining room, wait times can stretch significantly. When a party of 2 occupies a table for 6 and holds the other 4 seats with jackets and bags for 45 minutes while their companions finish a show or a drink somewhere else on the ship, the dining staff are placed in an impossible position. They cannot seat other waiting guests. They cannot reset the table, and the passengers being held at the host stand, often older travelers who are fatigued and hungry, are simply waiting. I watched this scenario play out repeatedly on formal nights when demand was at its peak. If your group is not ready to be seated together, hold your place at the host stand and wait until everyone is present. It is a small courtesy that has a large impact on everyone around you. Coming up is number 7, the one that affects not just the crew, but every other passenger on the ship, and the one that experienced cruisers consider one of the clearest signs of someone who has never really learned how to cruise. Number 5 is leaving used dishes and room service trays in the corridor. When you finish a room service meal in your cabin, the natural instinct is to put the tray outside the door to get it out of the way. The problem is that corridors on cruise ships are narrow, and a room service tray left outside a cabin door becomes a tripping hazard, a visual obstruction, and a housekeeping complication that ripples down the entire deck. On most ships, the correct procedure is to call room service and request tray pickup, or to simply leave the tray inside your cabin near the door. Stewards will collect it during their next service pass. A tray in the corridor that gets nudged by foot traffic or a luggage cart creates a mess that someone else has to clean up, often late at night. Number 6 is being on the phone during a service interaction. This one has become more common in recent years, and the crew finds it genuinely difficult to navigate. When a waiter approaches your table to take an order, and one or both passengers are mid-conversation on a phone, the server is placed in an awkward position of either interrupting a call or waiting indefinitely. A brief "one moment, please," and a quick wrap-up of the call is all it takes. It acknowledges the crew member as a person, keeps the service flow moving, and costs 30 seconds. The crew notices, and more importantly, they remember throughout the rest of the sailing. Number 7 is the one I mentioned, and it is about the pool deck chairs. Reserving a deck chair for hours with a towel, a book, and a pair of sunglasses while not actually being present is one of the most universally commented on passenger behaviors among cruise crew at every level. Pool attendants on most ships are now instructed to remove unattended personal items from chairs after a set period, often 30 to 60 minutes, but enforcing this policy creates confrontations that crew members dread. I watched attendants have items removed and then face genuinely angry passengers who had been at the buffet for 90 minutes, expecting their chairs to still be waiting. The policy is clear on most ships: use a chair when you are actually using it. If you are leaving for an extended time, take your belongings with you. The pool deck has limited space, and the demand is real, especially on sea days. Number 8 is giving a crew member a negative comment about a colleague within earshot of other crew. Cruise ships are small communities. Everyone knows everyone. When a passenger complains about a specific waiter or steward to another crew member in a way that is clearly meant to cause consequences for that person, it creates a ripple of discomfort through the entire team in that area. If you have a genuine service concern, the correct path is guest services or a private conversation with the supervisor. That approach gets results. A sideways comment to a passing crew member gets awkward silence and an uncomfortable shared shift for people who live and work together every day for months at a time. Just ahead is number 10, and this is the behavior that the crew in the buffet area specifically mentioned to me more than anything else during my years on board. Number 9 is leaving children unattended in public areas and expecting the crew to supervise them. Cruise ships have dedicated kids clubs and supervised youth programs run by trained staff during specific hours. Outside of those programs, the crew in dining areas, pool decks, entertainment venues, and corridors are not and cannot be childcare providers. I watched pool attendants spend significant portions of their shift managing unsupervised children in and around the pool, while parents were elsewhere on the ship, and the stress of that responsibility, combined with genuine safety concerns, was visible every single time. If you are traveling with grandchildren or younger family members, make sure a responsible adult from your party is present whenever they are in public spaces outside of the official kids programs. Number 10 is the buffet behavior I promised. It is not the food piling, and it is not the hovering near the serving stations, though those create their own challenges. The specific behavior that the buffet crew mentioned to me consistently is touching food with bare hands and then putting it back. The buffet is a shared space serving thousands of passengers. Crew members cleaning and restocking those stations see what happens at the serving trays. Using the tongs and serving utensils provided every single time for every single item is not just a courtesy to the staff. It is a basic consideration for every other passenger who will eat from that station after you. If a utensil is missing, a crew member nearby can provide one within moments. Number 11 is making jokes about safety procedures or the muster drill. I know these moments can feel overly formal and even slightly absurd to experienced cruisers who have sat through many safety briefings. But the crew conducting those briefings and the officers who oversee maritime safety take their responsibilities with complete seriousness. A passenger making audible jokes during a muster station briefing or performing exaggerated boredom for the amusement of their travel companions puts the presenting crew member in an uncomfortable position and disrespects a process that exists because people have died at sea. You do not have to love the safety drill. You do have to give it a few minutes of your genuine attention. Number 12 is handing items to crew members without making eye contact or acknowledging them as people. A boarding pass slid across a counter without a word. A glass pushed toward a bartender without a glance. A plate held out toward a waiter while continuing a conversation with someone else. These micro-interactions add up across a 10-hour shift for someone who is serving hundreds of passengers a day, often thousands of miles from their family, working a contract that keeps them on board for months without a single day at home. I worked alongside crew members from the Philippines, Indonesia, India, Eastern Europe, people with remarkable skill and genuine pride in their work who received less basic acknowledgement in a single day than most people get in an hour at a local restaurant. A moment of eye contact and a simple thank you costs nothing and registers deeply. Number 13 is demanding exceptions to safety rules and framing it as a special circumstance. Railing heights, restricted deck areas during sailings, pool closure hours during rough seas, tender boarding weight and mobility restrictions, these are not arbitrary inconveniences invented to frustrate passengers. They are safety standards that exist because maritime incidents are real. When a passenger insists that their personal situation is a special case that should override a safety restriction, the crew member facing that conversation has no good options. They cannot override the policy. They can only hold it while managing an increasingly frustrated person. Trust the process. If you have a genuine accessibility or medical concern, that conversation belongs at guest services with advance notice, not at a gangway or a pool deck at the moment the rule applies. Number 14 is not reading the daily program. This one might seem minor, but it creates a steady stream of entirely preventable friction throughout every sailing. The daily program, available in your cabin each evening and on the ship's app, tells you exactly what is open, what is closed, when meals are served, when events are happening, and what the day's schedule looks like. Passengers who have not read it ask crew members the same questions dozens of times per hour. Is the pool open? What time is dinner? Where is the activity happening? Is the spa taking walk-ins? Every single one of those questions is answered in the program. The crew answers them patiently every time. But taking 2 minutes in the morning to read the day's schedule before you head out saves everyone time and lets the crew focus on things that actually require their attention. Number 15 is the one I want to end on because it is the simplest and in some ways the most important. It is not saying thank you. Not a formal thank you, not a performance, just the ordinary acknowledgement that another person did something for you and you noticed. The crew member who brings your coffee in the morning, the steward who fixes your pillows exactly the way you like them, the guest services agent who sorted out a billing question, the waiter who remembered that you prefer no onion. A genuine thank you to each of those people, by name when you know it, is the single behavior that distinguishes the passengers the crew remembers fondly from the ones they do not. You are going to spend a week with these people. They are going to take care of you every single day. How you treat them is entirely within your control, and it shapes your experience more than any upgrade or amenity the ship could offer. You are now ahead of the vast majority of passengers who will board a cruise ship without ever thinking about any of this. The crew will notice, and so will your experience. If this helped you, a quick like takes 1 second. Subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Safe sailing.